Smile with a ribbon in my hand. Hello, we are back for the final episode of Welcome to Derry and my final review of the series. Man, it has been a journey to think that we're finally here today. The last episode. And did it bring it? Yeah, I thought it was a nice ending. Yes, it didn't have as much death as the previous season and the quotables and all that other stuff. Not previous season, but the previous episode. But I still thought it was outstanding, especially like from the jump. Pennywise wasn't playing around. He got all them kids up. He's like the cook, chop suey. But even though you're watching this series, you have to have some in the backdrop of like, okay, the It films still have to happen. Like it still has to correlate with the main continuity. So there's only so much that he can do. And I like that they explain why they're going back in seasons, because for him, as explained in the episode, his death is his birth. And so he tries to consistently goes back in time to prevent his unbreeding, right? And it goes all the way back to 1908 because that's when the Pennywise character's origin is. And like, you can't really get rid of it per se, but you can get rid of the iteration of it, and it just shows like their journey. So I can imagine that that people battle it within their current time period, and then he goes back and he creates like a new history. So yeah, even though he really wasn't defeated, they just reestablished the boundary in which he was held. I thoroughly enjoyed this episode. Again, 7 does take the cake. I actually watched episode 7 before this one. But yeah, let's dive into it. Let's talk about some of the characters. Marge. My final verdict, I don't like Marge. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Granted, her teaming up with Rodney trying to get the shard away from Lily, I respect it. I respect it a lot. But just how she was, like, she had her little redemption arc, but then what happened to Richie is like, I can't get over that. Speaking of Richie had a dub. The dub. They were trying to get it in the pillar, and I was like, oh my gosh, are they going to be able to survive this? Because like, dude was like, Pennywise like doing the Harlem Shake, so he was Harlem shaking his ass up and in there, and I thought like, oh my gosh, this is it. He started morphing. He started shape-shifting. This man turned into a spider, a bat. He ain't fucking around. He's trying to get up out of here, you know? He can't get a break. And then fucking Harlan or Dick, this dude was doing a thing on it. So he was astral projected inside his head, and he was trying to convince him that you are Bob Gray. He's like, no, I'm a god, I'm an entity. Da, 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 da. And that's just shows you how powerful Harlan is. If he can have an entity, a god, doubt himself. And that really makes him dangerous with that shining ability. Because without that, they're cooked. It would have got away with it. And yeah, and the military guy, I'm glad he got up out of here. Hank survived. I don't know why he survived, but I guess it makes sense because everybody died in that fire. Hank has to survive, and it also explains why Leroy and Charlotte end up staying. Now, the sad thing about it is, even though we do know certain characters have to still be alive at the end of this season in order for the films to actually take place, Will ultimately does end up dying, which is a little bittersweet. He ends up dying in a fire. That's why Mike is traumatized in the films, because of like how the way that his father died. And it's a little bittersweet because, like, again, and I talked about it in all my reviews, it's like you have attachment to the characters, and a good horror film makes you fall for someone, it makes you care for them, and then pulls the rug on you because like you know you're gonna die. So yeah, I really look forward to, even though I'm not gonna see it in the future, I wonder how Ronnie and Will's story play out. They were fast. They were very fast this episode. I was hoping somebody caught him. Hank, I need you to be a father. You saw them being fast up there kissing. They ain't got no business kissing. Y'all supposed to be kids. What are y'all doing? Stop that. I would've, ooh. ain't supposed to be kissing. Y'all supposed to be kids. Who taught y'all that? Make no damn sense. I'm glad that Lily, someone got a happy ending. She visits the gravesite. Richie came with the dub. Will Ronnie got a happy ending. Leroy, he does end up getting shot and watched with a limp, and they do end up taking over the land. Now, the biggest reveal, I would say, not only is like that Pennywise is going back in time to try to prevent his demise, but also Ingrid. Ingrid runs into Beverly, and Beverly, her mom dies within the hospital. So I think there's a possibility that scene in particular was you. I don't think they pulled the actress and asked her to come back for a scene, because that wouldn't make sense. I think this actually pulls from a deleted scene that wasn't shown in the original It Part 1 and Part 2, because Andy recently came forward and he talked about the 6-hour cut of the film. So even though we may or may not ever get that, I do like that throughout the seasons we get a bit taste of that and see how it can be incorporated, because there's a lot left on the table. I also wonder if when we go back in time to this other, into the next season, would also be in black and white and keeping that same theme and tone. Will we also have a different theme song? That's also something to consider. But Bill's performance in this one was phenomenal. Again, 7 was peak. 7 was peak. This is right up there as the ending. I didn't feel that he was weak at any time. I felt that he carried himself all the way to this end, and definitely Pennywise had the deck stacked against him. Not only was his weakness used against him, but just Harlan and the way that he was moving. Man, like, I get that he has the shining ability, but like it cannot be understated how powerful he is. And then he starts, and then Harlan at the end talking about like, oh yeah, you know, I'm gonna go to a hotel. It can't be too bad, bro. You have no idea. You have no idea. I mean, in the series and the books canon, he's still alive after that. But in the book, he ends up dying in The Shining. I mean, in the film, he ends up dying in Shining. But yeah, this is a great ending to a story. I want to see what else is more. And I'm actually looking forward to actually reading the book It. And I may do a chapter review week by week, depending on how my progress with the book goes. But have you had the privilege of seeing the final episode of It? What are your thoughts about the episode? Comment down below, like the video, and of course, subscribe. You already made it this far, might as well subscribe to more content, especially as I start reading It and diving into that. But without further ado, thank you guys for joining me for this journey, and as always, jaritos are on me. Ciao.